Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how my Infiniti G37 almost mechanically totaled itself over a $20 part again. My name is Jeremy, this is Region Automotive, and let's get to work. Alright, so let's talk about the problem a little bit. So it initially started when I was driving the car, and randomly under like medium acceleration, the car would cut out and start to sputter and hesitate like crazy. Obviously it became concerning because, like, you know, when I'm accelerating in traffic and I need to accelerate fastly, like I didn't know, because it also happens sporadically, so I wouldn't know if the car was going to cut in and out while I'm accelerating into traffic, which is obviously quite scary and quite dangerous. And another thing, a couple things to note is, again, the problem was intermittent. It seemed to happen when the car was warm. So like I'd drive it for like 20 minutes or something, then it'd start to kick in. And yeah, like I could shut the car off, let it rest for a couple minutes and start it up, and it seemed to not do it, which made me think that it was like a deep electrical problem. Because again, if it was like a physical, like a broken part, a broken wire, whatever, like it would happen every time, like not under certain conditions. And then also, like I said, it was intermittent, which is weird. And another weird thing, which didn't help me at all, is I didn't get any engine light for it either. Even when the car was cutting out and hesitating like crazy, no engine light. So that created quite a bit of problems for myself. But let's take the car for a drive and see if we can replicate the problem here. I present to you the problem. So I'm just driving around, minding my business, driving normal. I'm like barely on the throttle right now, like just touching it to move the car. I want to accelerate into traffic. I don't think so. See, it just hesitated like crazy. We'll do it one more time for good measure. So as you can see, the car seems to run all fine and happy, and then out of nowhere it just totally cuts power. Just like as you saw there, when I was accelerating, like it would accelerate smoothly and then it would just cut and all momentum would shift forward. And the weirdest part is that it wouldn't throw an engine light, so that's actually what made this diagnostic the trickiest for me, is no engine light. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. I appreciate each and every single one of you who have subscribed already, and every new subscriber I get gets the gears turning in my head how I can make the next video even better for you guys. So what I ended up doing is I went into my Autel scanner here. Then I went diagnosis, control unit. So what it seemed like to me is that the ECM or ECU was picking up a signal which it did not like, and that's why I was cutting power. So initially I thought it was like the mass airflow signal. So I'll pull up all the signals that I looked at here, but that was kind of my suspicion because there's no engine light. It didn't really feel like a misfire, like a dead misfire. It just felt like a total cut or loss of power. So what it seemed like to me is that the ECM was getting a signal that it didn't like and it cut power to the engine. So that's why I went under the engine here. Live data. All signals. So yeah, I just selected all the inputs that I think the ECU would use to run the engine in real time. Timing, O2 sensor, valve, variable valve solenoid, air fuel, mass airflow, injector pulse, mass airflow, accelerator sensor, throttle sensor, air fuel, mass airflow, injector pulse, sulfur bank 2. Okay, so once I had all the inputs that I wanted to look at this time. I just did 2 top. So yeah, I had all my inputs here, and I was driving around, and then every time, or first I'd look at all these signals, see if I saw any abnormalities. And like every time the vehicle would cut out, I would look at them even closer and just see what like the difference is, like what's going on. And this is what I ended up seeing. Of course, it's kind of hard to show you all these values while I'm actually driving. So I'll just kind of show them to you while I'm stopped here, and I'll just rev it up a little bit and you can see kind of my values change. Scroll down to the other ones. Just mass airflow sensor, air fuel. Again, I'm just looking for any abnormalities here. Some of the detailed viewers may have noticed this already with bank 1, but you see how the intake valve solenoid bank 2 is 0? And that's not moving at all. So that gave me a direction to go in. And yeah, so I drove around the car, and again, when it would cut out, it would be, so originally these values actually showed some percentages, and I did notice earlier, I'll show you, I'll restart the car here and it should reset, and then I could show you the difference in percentages. But yeah, I did notice earlier that there's like a 10 or 20% difference between my intake solenoid values, and then they would drop down to 0. And then once they dropped down to 0, that's when I started having that cutout issue. And then another thing I noticed is it actually cut out consistently at about 3,200 RPM, and that's actually when your variable valve timing would change under acceleration. So I'll insert some videos of the previous clips and take a look at the RPM when it cuts out. I don't think so. See, it just hesitated like crazy. Okay, so I restart the car, and I now have the solenoids back online. So watch when I rev it up, you'll see a like 10 to 20% difference between the two values. Okay, so after doing some thinking, this is what I came up with. So I replaced the passenger side solenoid because I was having codes and issues for that specific solenoid, but I chose not to replace the driver's side at the time. So I'm thinking since I replaced the passenger side with a newer solenoid, that's causing that difference in percentage that the scanner was reading. So at this point, I tried to replace both solenoids with new solenoids bought from the same supplier at the same time. To get to the solenoids, I first removed the coolant overflow tank, and to do so, you have two 10mm bolts there, and then there's just a little clamp holding it to the overflow pipe there at the flange. With the coolant overflow removed, there's just the one 10mm bolt there for the passenger side solenoid, and then I unplugged the plug there once I got it out. Then yes, I know there's a coolant leak, ignore that. That was just coming from me taking that hose on and off so many times. The end was just getting malleable or whatever, so I just trimmed it, and now it's not leaking anymore, but that's just residual. So anyway, ignore that coolant stain. Okay, so I have the passenger side installed, and then the driver's side, it's the same procedure. You just remove that 10mm bolt there and that plug, but there's a bit of a trick to get it out. It's so tight in there that coolant hose clamp there gets in the way, so you just kind of pinch it, and then be careful not to pull the hose off of the fitting there, I guess, or I don't know what you'd call that. Barb, flange, I don't know. Anyway, just pull the clamp off just so it's out of your way, and then you'll have just enough clearance to slide that solenoid out on the driver's side. Okay, so with two new solenoids, again, same time, same manufacturer, let's go for a drive and see if that fixed our problem. I could tell that the problem was fixed right away because the percentages were a lot closer when I drove it. but we better take it for a couple pulls just to be sure. Fixed. One more time for good measure. So the moral of the story is, don't be cheap like me and always replace your electrical components and sensors in pairs. All right, that is my video on how my Infiniti G37 almost mechanically totaled itself over a $20 part again. I understand that's a bit of a reach saying mechanically totaled itself, but the reason why I'm labeling that is because, you know, it's like such a specific problem, and like if you didn't spend so much time with it and you just started throwing parts at the car, it can really add up quite quick. So anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.